In the headlines, Niger coup leader agrees to dialogue with ECOWAS. Serap sues Godswill Akpabio, Tajuddin Abbas over plan to spend 110 billion on bulletproof cars. Gunmen attack Ofargayen days after mosque building collapse. And on the foreign scene, death toll in Hawaii wildfire now at 93. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for joining. We begin. A team of prominent Islamic scholars from Nigeria met with Nigeria's military leaders over the weekend, with both parties agreeing to intensify dialogue as preferred option for resolving the political impasse in the country. The Islamic ulamas led by Sheikh Balalo met with General Abdurrahman Chiani for several hours in Nigeria's capital, Niamey, during which they deliberated on all the issues, including the demand by ECOWAS leaders that former President Bazoum be reinstated. Balalo, who is the national chairman of Jama'atul Izalatul Bid'ah wa Iqamatus Sunnah, said the clerics were in Niger on behalf of President Bola Tinubu, who accepted their request to intervene. General Chiani, who accorded the team warm reception, said the doors of Niger's leadership were open to explore diplomacy and peace in resolving the matter. General Chiani, however, said it was painful to the coup leaders that the ECOWAS leaders did not hear their side of the story before issuing the ultimatum to them to quit office. He claimed the coup was well intended, stating that the military struck to stave off an imminent threat that will have affected not only Niger Republic but also Nigeria. He also apologized for not according the team sent by President Tinubu, led by former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar. They required attention because they were angry about the ECOWAS ultimatum. Meanwhile, the SocioEconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAF, has filed a lawsuit against the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, and the Speaker of House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, over the unlawful plan to spend 40 billion on 465 exotic and bulletproof cars for members and principal officers and 70 billion as palliatives for new members. The suit is coming on the heels of the statement by Akpabio that the clerk of the National Assembly had sent holiday allowances into the various bank accounts of senators. In the suit filed last Friday at the Federal High Court in Lagos, SERAP is seeking an order of mandamus to direct and compel Akpabio and Abbas to review and reduce the 40 billion budgeted to buy 465 sports utility vehicles, SUVs, and bulletproof cars for members and principal officials. SERAF is seeking an order restraining Akpabio and Abbas from demanding or receiving the 40 billion to buy 465 SUVs and bulletproof cars for members and principal officials until an assessment of the socio-economic impact of the spending on the 137 million poor Nigerians is carried out in the public interest. The Lagos State Governorship Election Tribunal on Saturday resumed sitting for the adoption of final written addresses in the petitions filed by the governorship candidate of the Labour Party LP, Badebo Roads Vivo, and his counterpart in the People's Democratic Party PDP, Olajide Adedran, popularly known as Jendur. Roads Vivo and Jendur are challenging INEC's return of Sanwo-Olu and Hamzat in the March 18 governorship election in Lagos State. Adopting their addresses, the four respondents in the suit, INEC, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, his deputy Obafemi Hamzat, and All Progressives Congress, APC, prayed the court to dismiss the petition. Counsel to the first respondent, Charles Edosoman San, argued that the petitioner failed to prove that the third respondent poses dual citizenship, nor provided evidence that the elections was not conducted in compliance with the Electoral Act. Counsel to the second and third respondents, Wale Olanipekun, San, also argued that the initial ground of the petition is on non-qualification. He contended that the petitioner did not, however, show up to adopt his petition and made no request before the court, urging it not to grant what it was not asked. Also in the petition filed by the People's Democratic Party's governorship candidate Olajide Adedran against the INEC and the APC governorship candidate and his deputy, the respondents asked the court to discountenance the petition for lacking in evidence. Second and third respondents' counsel, while citing the provisions of Section 285 of the Constitution, argued that the tribunal also lacked jurisdiction to entertain the matter. The petitioner has pleaded with a three-member tribunal led by Justice Arum Ashum to discountenance all the arguments that the case is beyond the jurisdiction of the court and it is not a pre-election matter as they claimed. Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebaji has suspended the Commissioner for Chieftaincy and Home Affairs, Oleya Atiboke, for 2 weeks. The commissioner, who is one of those inaugurated less than a week ago, backed the suspension for unauthorized departure from the venue of a 3-day retreat organized for them. According to a statement signed by Yinka Oyebode, the special advisor and media to the governor, the commissioner was nowhere to be found during the signing of the performance charter. Governor Oyebanji, who fully participated in all the sessions of the 72-hour retreat, had earlier stated that there will be zero tolerance for indiscipline and poor performance. Just a day after the death of 10 people following the Zaria Central Mosque structural collapse, suspected bandits have invaded Zaria, killing 2 people, abducted 1. Security sources said that the bandits who arrived at Kofargain area of the ancient city around 11 p.m. on Saturday night started shooting sporadically to disperse people before killing their victims. Kofargain area has been the gateway for the suspected bandits in the past 2 years whenever they want to strike and attack any community of the ancient city. It is an outskirt where the Gambo Sawaba General Hospital and locust houses are situated, and same area where a custom officer was abducted and spent 69 days in captivity before being released after payment of ransom. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Union of Journalists NUJ Zamfara State Council has called on the state government to strengthen its collaboration with the federal government towards addressing the security challenges facing the state. The union, in a communique signed by the state chairman Ibrahim Mezari and Secretary Ibrahim Gada, said the Congress expressed concern over the return of incessant attacks and other forms of insecurity across the state and its negative impact on the people. The NUJ State Council, while commending the present administration of Governor Dauda Lawal for initiating State Security Trust Fund as part of its measures towards addressing the security situation in the state, it advised the government to immediately set up a special security committee with membership of traditional rulers, retired security personnel in the state, as well as other relevant stakeholders. It stresses the need for the state government to, as a matter of urgency, roll out palliatives for people of the state to cushion the devastating effects of fuel subsidy removal by the federal government. Kano State Governor Abakabir Yusuf has reopened the oldest public pediatric hospital in the state. Hasia Bayero was closed down by the former administration of Abdullahi Umar Ganduji. The reopening of the hospital is coming 33 years after it was first opened. The open health facility is amongst the first set of projects commissioned by the governor in his first 100 days in office. Recall that the present administration in Kano State had in June this year revoked the sale of the hospital allegedly to an individual at the rate of 6 million naira by the previous administration in the state and began its renovation thereafter. Speaking on the sidelines of the commissioning, Abakabir Yusuf said the hospital is one of the few public pediatric hospitals in the whole of northern Nigeria, with a capacity of 86 beds and attending to about 5,000 patients across the state and its neighborhood. Some of the services rendered by the facility include general pediatric consultations, free admissions of outpatient services, immunization services, nutritional services, research, training and referral services. Emir of Kano Aminu Adobayro, who was at the opening ceremony, thanked the governor for redeeming the image of the facility. Zamfara state government has rolled out a special modified medical outreach program aimed at addressing critical healthcare needs and improving the quality of life of the people. Under the initiative, which commenced recently, 81 patients suffering from cases of eye cataracts and 49 cases of growing swellings were treated. A statement by the governor's spokesperson, Suleiman Idris, said that the special outreach is designed to cover monthly 1,000 patients with growing swellings, 200 vesicovaginal fistula repairs, VVF, and 1,000 patients with eye cataracts. First phase of the program, which is in collaboration with the Office of the First Lady of Zamfara State, Hajia Huriya Dauda, is set to provide free medical services to people with cases that require cataract extraction, growing swellings, hernias, hydroceles, vesicovaginal fistula repairs, VVF, and health education. A committee saddled with the responsibility of executing the program says its findings show that cataract extraction, growing swellings, hernias, hydroceles, vesicovaginal fistula repairs, VVF, amongst critical healthcare needs of the people, which are given priority attention in the intervention for the first year of the program. According to the statement, a strategy has been adopted to allow patients to be screened remotely and receive treatment at designated treatment centers in Gusau. The state governor, Dauda Lawal, has also expanded the scope of the program to cover all the 40 local government areas of the state, with General Hospital Gusau, King Fahad General Hospital, and Yerima Bakura Specialist Hospital as centers. You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, we take a look at divided preference over music. Details of these and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and if you are just joining us, this is the news update on Trust TV, and here is a recap of some of our top stories. Niger coup leader agrees to dialogue with ECOWAS. And Seraph sues Goswill Apabio, Tajuddin Abbas over plan to spend 110 billion on bulletproof cars. Now moving on to other stories. Youths in Bauchi State have urged the federal and state governments to expedite action in dealing with the economic hardship being faced by the people. They raised the concern on the sidelines of this year's commemoration of the World Youth Day, a day set aside by the United Nations. Trust TV's Adam Imam reports.
This year's theme is Green Skills for Youth Towards a Sustainable World, which Nigerian youth says is apt is considering the pressing need for policymakers to take advantage of growing population as a panacea for growth and development. Even if we know how to do the business, our great concern is little capital or tools to push us and start with. If the government can do the needful on palliatives to reach us direct, I think we will do better by making sure real Nigerian youths that are into business or skills work can get help. This is the work of the authority to supervise and ensure justice. It is extremely important for youth to start something, no matter little, like petty trading with small amount of money. Even skills work, we should hold it with sincerity for us to contribute, because the current economic realities shows we must wake up in this country. These Nigerian youths who are engaged in welding work say inability of successive governments to provide sustainable power supply has dampened their morale and posed a greater threat to their future.
Honestly, there is no encouragement in our work because of epileptic power supply. There is high cost of living. Now we hardly get something to feed ourselves well due to economic hardship. Though we thank God for our lives, we pray that God will be on top of the situation.
But our main problem for this country, also to this nation, is to have a guarantee never. I think that problem that we are facing in our skills already, we are done with it.
Statistics have shown that the number of youths is projected to grow by 7% to nearly 1.3 billion across the globe, making it imperative to make them central in policy formulation and objectives for sustainable development. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Some music listeners in Jos, the Plateau State capital, say they still prefer to listen to old school music despite the emergence of modern trends. Others, however, say they listen to modern day music melodies because they are more entertaining and relaxing than the old school melody. Trust TV's Ado Musa reports from the state capital, Jos.
Virtually every street of a town you walk in nowadays, especially in the Hausa setting, you hear music of modern legends who have won the minds of hundreds of people. Prior to the emergence of the modern music melodies, many people, especially in the north, used to listen to the music of old legends. Ironically, with the coming of new music stars, a lot of people in the region switch from old school hits to the contemporary ones. These residents say they still like the old school music because of the lessons associated with it. Those old musics you see are educative. They teach a lot of lessons, and that is why we still listen to them. We believe that we can always learn from them. The old school, such as that of Mamans Shatta, Dan Maraya, Dan Kwairo, among others, are passing a lot of lessons, and that is why we still remember them.
nasiha ce wanda yake kuma.
In my opinion, most of the modern hits are not in any way passing any lesson to the public. Rather, they just destroy our moral attitudes. That is why today, the moral behavior of our children is not the reflection of our culture. The old school musics are the best ones to listen to. In the Hausa land, the old musics of Hausa legends are very educative and are still lingering in our memory. All musics of famous people like Damaraya and Mamman Shata are just like preaching. When you follow what they are saying, you realize that what they are saying is true. We are now seeing what they have said in the past. The modern music is full of dancing. We don't even understand what they are saying. So, we still listen to the old music.
Hijiran manzon Allah barinsa ga makadada mutan Madina sun karbe shi wanda ita ribe shi shine hada farin tsoho.
Most of the old school music fans of Hausa parentage believe that such music are teaching a lot of lessons rather than just beating sound and dancing. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
The federal government, through the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, is in collaboration with partners to promote sustainable economic growth and development by creating a bio-based economy that will contribute to job creation, poverty reduction, food security, and increased access to energy. This was revealed at the South Regional Sensitization Exercise in Asaba, Delta State. The sensitization, which was aimed at developing modalities for the implementation of the cassava bioethanol project, as well as educate the stakeholders for their buy-in, attracted many cassava farmers and university researchers. The promoters say development of the cassava bioethanol value chain is a veritable pathway to revamping the country's economy.
Also, to improve and boost food security. You know, the cassava is a very dynamic crop, so we hope to, by boosting the production of cassava, we hope to use cassava for the production of bioethanol. We can also use cassava in our various industries.
We know that it will be possible because there is now a will. We desire that agriculture, which is the source of food for every human being, is going to have a boost, because one of the things that make agriculture unattractive is when you look at the cassava farmer in the village, one has this apathy. How can they survive? But with this biofuel coming out of cassava, it means that there will be more demand for cassava products.
And on the international scene, people in the Hawaiian resort town ravaged by horrific inferno have expressed anger as the death toll from the wildfires rose to 93, making it officially the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than 100 years. Officials said the death toll might go up further as search teams continued sifting through the ruins of Lahaina town, located on Moya Island. The resort town of more than 12,000 people has been reduced to ruins. Its lively hotels and restaurants turned to ashes. In a news conference, Governor George Green said the number of confirmed deaths from the Moena wildfires had risen to 89, making it the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than 100 years. Moyo County later raised the confirmed death toll to 93. The latest figure exceeded the 85 people who perished in a 2018 fire in the town of Paradise, California, and was the highest death toll from a wildfire since 1918, when the Cloquet fire in Minnesota and Wisconsin killed 453 people. Moyo Police Chief John Pelletier said only a fraction of the disaster zone had been searched, and only 2 of the victims could be identified because they were burnt badly. They added here that the cadaver dogs trained to detect bodies had covered only 3% of the search area. And finally, on sports news, heavyweight Anthony Joshua spectacularly knocked out Robert Helenius with 1 punch in round 7 after boxing tentatively in the first half of the fight at London's O2 Arena. The 33-year-old Brighton, who was judged by fans during the fight, landed nothing of note until an overhand right ended Helenius' night. The win, Joshua's first stoppage win in 2.5 years, set up a blockbuster fight with an American Deontay Wilder in January. After the knockout, an emotionally charged and smiling Joshua climbed out of the ring, high-fived fans and shared a beer with Irish mixed martial arts star Kano. Helenius needed oxygen after the heavy knockdown, but recovered and left the ring unassisted after congratulating Joshua. Joshua extends his record to 26 wins with 23 stoppages and 3 defeats. Finland's Helenius, who took the fight on a week's notice after Brighton Dillian White failed a voluntary drug test, loses his pro fight in 36 outings. And with that, we have come to the end of the Trust TV's news update. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and our YouTube live stream. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for watching and bye for now.